Good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Listen, I want to speak about unwritten rules today. You have the written rules that we call the law, codified in black letters. For example, that you cannot shoplift, that you cannot trespass a property when there is a marcation line that is a property. You have written rules that an employer must pay his employees. We understand that. But there are also unwritten rules. For example, if you're at least in the Netherlands, when you're at a party or someone offers you a plate with cookies, you only take one cookie. While in China, it's a completely different story. Now look, if a Chinese comes to the Netherlands without any awareness of the culture here, and they offer him a plate, he will take maybe 5 or 6 cookies, or even 10. And the Dutch are going to be upset, offended. They're going to meditate and concentrate negative about what happened. Why? Because they say you don't do that. That's rude. That is blah blah blah. While the Chinese tells them, listen, in China, if you are off the plate, everyone grabs what they want. And if you're left with nothing, that's your own fault. So there's another mentality, another way of operating that the Chinese have when it comes to what they call etiquette. Now, where someone took only 1 cookie or 10, those are just cookies. But people have expectations they never evaluated. Now, okay, you can reason that only take 1 cookie leaves cookies for others. While at the same time, in China, when they offer a plate, they throw a lot of cookies on it so people can grab how much they want. So, those are unwritten rules. But here's the thing. They have this expectation about only taking 1 cookie. But they never explain it most of the time. Just like this is how it is. And that's dangerous. You know why? Because you should be able. I'm not saying you have to or that you're obliged to explain things all the time. But you should. But an expectation ought to be I'm saying like this. If you have an expectation, you should be able to explain it. And it should be justifiable. You cannot just have an expectation and that's it. Because rudeness, the word rudeness, simply means that you don't honor an expectation that a group of people have. But what if the expectation of those people are darkness? Are you not going to give in to darkness just to keep people happy? So if it's an expectation that some kid in the neighborhood is to blame for all the emotional dysfunction of the people, and let's say that you decide, okay, I'm not going to partake in this, then you are rude because they have an expectation. Now they're upset because you didn't honor their expectation. Hold on a minute. Should you honor that expectation? Okay, look, let's imagine another thing. You have an 8-year-old kid that passes around and he doesn't steal nor do anything like that. But people become upset with the kid. They don't like the kid. They don't want to see the kid around. And the kid thinks, who cares? The kid just keeps playing around and does his thing on public property. And people become very enraged at it. And then people teach the kid, if people don't want you around, you just have to take it. And the kid said to his parents, Mom, Dad, so anyone can just will something against me, just have to find a way to deal with it. And when he asked his parents that, the parents were confronted because the parents were thinking, wait a minute, this is stupid indeed. But because the parents wanted to hold on to their authority, they began to punish the child for questioning the parents' authority. Now what happened now? The parents had accepted and adapted to an expectation they never evaluated. And that kid of 8-year-old had far more insight than the parents. And why? Because the parents themselves excused themselves out of jobs, out of opportunities, because people had wills against them. And and they didn't want to reflect upon all of that. So they took it all out on their 8-year-old child. As if the kid was responsible for them not evaluating those expectations. Why am I mentioning all of this? It's because, well, people tend to become violent. They they energize violence, they energize demon spirits, they energize paranormal activity just because their expectations are not met. And they think they have a right to do that. And if it happens, it's not their fault because they're just upset. Look, if there is an older man in his 50s that sees a young, attractive girl of 14 years old, and he wants to lay his hands on her, and she says no, and he begins to hit her because his will was frustrated, people are going to put him in jail. Sometimes even worse happens. And what if you have a 14-year-old girl now, and a 50-year-old man is her father, and her father now has expectations that he can't defend. He wants some control upon other people, and the 14-year-old girl thinks that what's going on? She doesn't lash out against her father, she just asks dad, what's going on? Now the dad picks up a belt to discipline her, to respect. Now what's the difference here? There's no difference between the child molester and the controlling parent. Both have expectations that are never evaluated, both think they have a right to will the negative when their expectations are not met. But we are told to put the one in jail and to honor and to make the other sacred, to defend the other. And when the 14-year-old girl tells what the father did to her, people tend to defend the father. Well, said, yeah, you weren't respectful. People don't even look at what happened. Automatically just defend the parent unconditionally. Listen, that is where most of this dysfunction begins. In the household, not only with parents, but with relatives, where you grew up. There's nothing wrong with having expectations. There's nothing wrong with adapting to expectations. There's nothing wrong with that in itself. But what are you adapting into and why? If people are keen on enforcing an expectation on you, they should be able to explain why. And if they don't explain directly, it should become obvious why later on or very soon. Look, if you join the military, of course, it's the military, so they have certain codes and principles and how they operate. That's why they have expectations. If you join a cult, okay, so of course, there are groups and institutes where their expectations you just have to take because that's how the institution operates. But apart from institutions and institutes in daily life, people should be able to give an account of their expectations. But just as with that 8-year-old kid, and the parents and the people in the neighborhood, they can't defend their expectations because once they reflect upon those expectations, they're going to notice that doesn't add up. But because they have too much attitude, too much pride, too much ego, they lash out. Now listen, I don't care if people lash out and will. Just because they will, it doesn't mean I have to just back up because they will something. No. I never had this attitude that people can just will whatever they want and you just have to take it. No. I am not entitled to have such an attitude. The Most High Himself, God Himself, the Creator, doesn't have such an attitude. So who are they? Look, I'm making this video to open your eyes, to reveal unto you that people should be able to give an account of what they expect. And you know what? When you begin to reflect upon stuff, you're going to notice that there are a lot of stuff out there that people hold high, that people perpetrate, that people keep defending, but when you look at it carefully from the wider perspective, you're going to think, what? Just try this out. When people have expectations, for example, unwritten rules, things you just should do or shouldn't do, write them down. Write the reactions of people in general when the expectation is not validated, not honored, I mean. Make a map of all those expectations around your environment and see where there are connections. You're going to be shocked how ugly that is. Well, anyway, I'm not telling you this for you to cause trouble and controversy. No, I'm not telling you this to build your self-esteem. I'm telling you this so that you will grow into freedom. By operating in freedom, I mean. Because Christ wants you to operate in freedom, not in lawlessness that you just do whatever you want, because that's what the world is doing. Those unwritten and all those unwritten rules are also a form of lawlessness, in the sense that people just don't give an account of their expectations. Lawlessness has nothing to do with whether there's an established code, what we call the law, or not. It has to do with a mindset. It's a mindset of not wanting to have any responsibility nor accountability. It's just to be relieved at all costs. There are many Torah keepers out there who insist in using the name Yahushua or whatever Hebrew form they have, but they're added to this lawlessness. Because it appears if they're very lawful, when you look at it carefully, it's lawlessness. It's lawlessness in disguise. Well, I'm not going to make this video too long. Just evaluate people's expectations and also evaluate unto yourself whether you have expectations that don't add up. If any thought or any expectation cannot be reconciled with Christ, that means it's darkness, and you need to give it up. And if demons have become attached to you, they need to be cast out. Well, that being said, agree with Christ and be at peace.